Chord here with Every Breath You Take from The Police, of course. For those of you who have been watching the channel lately, you know that I've been doing a lot of Police songs. And in fact, I've built a playlist that contains all of them, which is in the description box below. So you can easily access all of them. And I'm going to be doing more as well. Synchronicity 2 and several other tunes. So hopefully you guys will enjoy those. Anyway, this one takes a little bit of explanation, but if you don't want to sit through the word dribble, you can just fast forward to the lesson, which begins at. So first up, the original recording is actually a half step lower. It's not a perfect half step, or at least it doesn't sound like it to me. It sounds a little bit pitchy as a half step down. So my guess is that they were still using tape in those days. And my guess is that maybe Sting or the guys thought that it was a little bit too fast. So they simply slowed the tape down and then finished tracking the vocals and everything else. So if you want to play along with the recording, you'll have to fine tune to it or get some software where you can, up the pitch a little bit. And yeah, that's what I meant to say, up the pitch a little bit. And to do that. But as a note, you can pull up numerous live videos of them playing this, and they are in standard tuning, playing it blatantly in the key of A. And so there you go. So that's the way I'm going to show it to you, because that's the way you're going to see it. And we'll talk about that bridge, which sometimes gets just not ignored, but not fully covered. So we'll do that as well. So let's jump into it and let's get started with the chord progression. This is basically a 50s doo-wop chord progression. But of course, in the hands of Andy Summers, it winds up sounding like The Police because he simply adds a 9 to each of those chords. Okay, so just be aware that all of these chords, most of them, have 9s in them. So I'm just going to refer to them as major or minor, and just know that they all have that stretched 9 in it. So the very first chord is A. So let's talk about that right out the gate. That's quite a stretch if you haven't played these before. These are just like Message in a Bottle. Same idea, okay? So we've got the 5th fret on the 6th string, and I'm using my 2nd finger to fret the 7th fret on the A string, and then my pinky to fret the 9th fret on the D string. I know you can see it all on the tab, but just to let you know what fingers I'm using. I've got a pretty healthy dose of chorusing going, no delay or anything like that right now, just to keep the tutorial clean. Just a little bit of reverb. And then what you're going to do is reach down with your 1st finger, your pointer, to the 6th fret on the G string to play this full arpeggiated shape. Just like so. And actually what I like to do is sort of lift off my fingers even a little bit more than Andy does to make the notes super succinct, or at least the way they sound to me on the original studio recording. And obviously I'm applying a healthy dose of palm muting back here to give the strings a real staccato sound. And the picking on that is like so. Down, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up. And like I said, you can see I kind of rock my fingers on and off the notes because I think it sounds really tight like that. So this first chord really sets you up for the whole song, okay? There's some wide stretching going on here, but it's really doable, particularly if you do lift your fingers up kind of the way I'm doing. So now we move it to an F sharp minor, still with that 9th in there, and we're using the same strings, the same picking pattern, except the 1st finger is popping all the way down to the 2nd fret on the G string, so that we have a minor shape and a minor sound. But again, exactly the same picking technique, exactly the same strings. And again, that can be a pretty long stretch to hold all of that down, right? So just kind of rock your hand back and forth if you need to. The notes, again, are very staccato, so it kind of works out in your favor. Kind of works out nicely. So now we have and again emphasizing the 9. But this pattern's a little bit different because we're only using 3 strings instead of 4. And that's the way I choose to play that. You could also play it like this, just barring with your ring finger across the G and the D string. But again, I think this kind of helps separate the notes out a little bit. So this one is, and the picking's the same. Down, down, up, down, up, down, up. Let me play that one nice and slow. I know you can see the tab on the screen, but just in case. And then move that up a whole step. And then back to the A. Now that's what happens on the intro. That is the whole chord progression for the intro. You move from the A to the F sharp minor, to the D, to the E, back to the A, and then Sting starts singing. So for that whole thing, we have and then we repeat the whole thing for the first verse of the song. But the first time through the chord progression, instead of coming off of the and resting it back on A, the first time around you go to F sharp minor. So you come off of that E to F sharp minor, and then the second time you come off of the E to the A. So in other words, the whole first verse would be played like this. So once again, A, F sharp minor, D, E, F sharp minor. A, F sharp minor, D, E, and then back to A. And then we move into the Can't You See vocal line. And what we have here is we move back to D. Very interesting, and Sting actually moves to a C on the bass right there, which really emphasizes that dominant 7th chord. But at first, we just have the D like we played it before. Then stay with this shape right here. Then bar the G string at the 5th fret, okay? So again, real slow. I know you can see the tab once again, but just real slow. And again, Sting moves to a C in the bass right there, so it sounds especially cool. And then we move back to A. Take that up to B. Exact same thing, exact same movement. And then finally up to E, which has also been played before as well. So I kind of refer to this as the B section of the song. So this whole part is played like this. And that is the whole B section of the song. And then we move back to another verse. But when we move back to the verse, we once again close it out with the F sharp minor, which leads us into the bridge. So this next verse would be played like this. Like so, and then we move into the bridge. let's talk about that bridge a little bit. A couple of things about this. He's got some heavy chorusing going on, delay, verb. I mean, it's just a washed in sound. A washed? It's just a washed in sound. And the chords are simple. It's just an F major to a G major, right? And on the recording, it kind of sounds like he's going down, up, down real quick. But with all the delay and everything, some of it actually sounds like he's just going, just sweeping across the strings, and the delay kind of creates some other hidden rhythms in there. But as you can see, I added that little piano lick, and we'll talk about how Andy actually covered this live, but this would be what I would say is the simpler way of doing it. However you choose to play the F chord, whether you sweep it or grab the B string, then open up your bar so that you get the open B string, and then the G string. So you've got the bar chord, and you just open up the bar so that you'll get the C note on the B string, then the open string, and then the A note on the G string. Move up to G, B string again, and then bring your pinky down to the 5th fret on the G string, and then off and strike it again. So that's a cool way to capture a bit of that piano part. It's an octave lower, or maybe they even did it in octaves. I'll have to go back and listen. But that's kind of a cool and easy way to capture that bridge. But let's talk about what Andy does live. So the chords are the same, but he's using those artificial harmonics, or what some people call artificial harmonics. I covered a bit of his use of harmonics in Can't Stand Losing You. So if you haven't seen that video, do check it out, because there's a lot of info in there about these harmonics, the Lenny Breau technique, and all that stuff. But what Andy does is he strikes the chord, and then he does these artificial harmonics. A little rusty on those, I think. So anyway, what he does is he hits the chord, and using these artificial harmonics, he imitates the piano part. In fact, he may have laid the harmonics down in the studio, for all I know. But everything that happens in the left hand is exactly what we just explained, just playing it normally, okay? But what you want to do here, in case you haven't watched the other video that I did on this, is you rest your index finger right over the string that you want to get the harmonic out of. And it's got to be exactly 12 frets up. So in the F chord, the B string is on the 1st fret, so we want to be on the 13th fret. And you just rest your finger lightly right over the fret. And in this case, I'm using, you can't really see it, but I'm using my ring finger to pluck the string. And you get the harmonic. Then open the chord up like we did before, and you'll want to move to the 12th fret now. And then for the A note on the G string, you'll be on the 14th fret. Like so. So then when you move to the G chord, you'd be on the 15th fret on the B string. And then when you pull this finger down to the 5th fret on the G string, then you want to be on the 17th fret on the G string up here. Take the finger off, move to the 16th fret. So you have pretty cool. And so you just put that inside the chord. The way I used to do it back in the club days playing live, put the pick in my mouth or cuff it in my hand or whatever, and then just use my hand to strike the chord and do the harmonics. Just like so. And if you pull up some live video of the Police, that's exactly what you'll see Andy doing. And then we move back to what is essentially the verse again, but basically instrumentally, okay? And how that works is we do the F sharp minor first, and then we do the A major second, and then we move back to the B section. So this sort of instrumental interlude, if you want to call it that, would be played like this. B section just like we did before. So now let's talk about the last verse of the song and what happens there, and the closing out of the tune as well. The arrangement on this tune is really important, by the way. The way they've mapped this out is really cool. So we start on another verse, and at the tail end of the verse, we hit the F sharp minor again. So explaining what happened right there, we played the verse as we usually do, ending with the F sharp minor. But then we go back to the D and the E again, and then we play the F sharp minor 4 times. So that tag, if you want to call it that, is like so. We are officially into the outro of the song, and it just has this little loop that goes round and round where we're playing the A major to the F sharp minor to the D in a loop, okay? And they faded out, of course, but that is how you play the outro to Every Breath You Take. So there you go, another infamous Police song to add to the collection that I've been doing. And once again, I've got a link to that playlist in the description box below, which I hope works. And there's a lot of other Police lessons in there as well, and I'll be doing more. And I just wanted to take a second to say thanks to everybody who has supported the channel, all you guys who have subscribed, the wonderful comments that you leave, and the song ideas for tutorials. I really do appreciate it. And as always, the best to everyone, and we'll see you in another video very soon.